Hello there, Sir from 17 once again. This is my ReCore walkthrough. This is mission 12, Repository Blitz, which I believe is an optional dungeon, and I'm going to be showing you right now a pretty sneaky way of getting to it that I came up with, which is just to use your environment intelligently and your abilities, and then use Seth, because Seth is really good. You'll notice my Seth now looks a little bit like an armoured tank predator of some sort, some description. It's because I've given him some unique armour, which is really good for the time we're at, and it pretty much ensues that he never dies because his defense is already really good, but it also means that he does a lot more damage, which is great. So hopefully Seth is going to do some work for us, and we're going to be going into this optional dungeon. That right there is a power cell. Something that I need to explain with the power cells, guys. Do you notice how a lot of these dungeons take 4 power cells to open? The power cells themselves are not necessarily very difficult to find, and there will be instances in this walkthrough where I don't show you where they all are to get into certain dungeons. The reason that is because I stumbled across them in videos when I wasn't recording, and they automatically go home a lot of the times if you're close enough. But the way to spot power cells is they will usually be in the vicinity of the dungeon that they are locking, and they glow. So you'll notice, just looking down now, we can see that there's a bunch of them in this area if we pick them up. Every so often, there are a couple of power cells that will break the rules. They will either be quite low down, or they'll be on ledges. So there's your middle ground. You either go really high or you go really low. And they're usually within range of where you need them to be. The exception above this is occasionally there'll be one that's a twat, where you'll have to dig, or something like that. And the good news is, I'm almost certain at this point, if you YouTube or you Google for the specific dungeon you're trying to get into for the power cells, then they will already have these collectible guides there, because there's a lot of them online, and I actually needed to get into one and I couldn't find it, and when I searched, lo and behold, I had to dig outside the dungeon, and there were a bunch of other potential videos I could have watched or potential pages I could have read, so it seems like the internet will have you covered if my videos don't. Because this is just showing you all the prismatic cores and getting to the end and beating the boss. And I wish I could show you more, guys, because I wish I wanted to, but the game just doesn't deserve it, and I'm a stickler when games don't deserve things. It really puts me off them, and this is a game that can leave a bad taste in your mouth, which is a shame, because there are really legitimate great moments in it. But we enter the dungeon, and I'm not too sure which one this is. It could be... Oh, it's a timed platforming one. Okay, folks, so once again, this is ReCore saying, we do platforming in this game. Can you remember when platforming was demanding and fun? Do it now. So the 3 objectives are always the same, guys. There will always be time, there will always be hit the switches, and then there will always be the yellow key. That seems to be the universal standard. And what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to take a slow run through this, pick up the keys, pick up the switches, and then I'm going to do the speedy one, I think. All depending on what kind of dungeon it is. If this is a dungeon where there's no prismatic core for the speed time, I'm not going to do it. Because some of the speed times, they require you to really assert yourself, and if you get put in an endless death loop, there's nothing more frustrating, because there's no restart. And here we go again, you know. I thought I'd got to a point where I could talk about fun features of this game and interesting parts of design philosophy on games in general, but I keep coming back to problems. Whenever you do a time trial in any kind of video game, whenever you do something where one mistake can be the difference between, you know, doing it and not doing it, like this, me fucking up shooting that. Wonderful skill there by Chris, as always. Look where it puts me. You see that? That's where it put me. It put me on a platform with moving hostile enemies. Why? Why doesn't it put me on the platform that's fucking moving, with nobody attacking me? Why? It's simple, guys. It's so simple. Why do they do this? I don't get it. So, I've already hit it, by the way, so I don't need to hit it again. I'm just being silly, because I've not quite realised. But I don't get it. But back to my point. Whenever you're in any kind of time trial that is skill dependent and mistakes happen frequently and can be the difference between success and failure, you need a quick restart. You need a button that you press that puts you back to the checkpoint immediately. No loading, no fucking about, no fanciness, nothing. But this game doesn't have it. Instead, you have to complete the dungeon and then hit a restart dungeon teleporter. And at that point, you've already done it all. So it's just... I have no idea why they think that's acceptable when you saw what happened, guys. I made a silly mistake because I had to come back on myself, and I didn't do it very well. So I'm in at fail there. Then the game puts me on an active path with a ball that hits me immediately before I have a chance to react to what the hell's going on. And then as I try and jump to recover because the balls stun you and they put you in a stun animation, I ended up jumping into another ball and getting bummed. And it put me in the same place for a very similar situation to happen again. And admittedly, if I was, if I knew that's what was going to happen and I reacted better, I could have salvaged it, but I shouldn't have to, and that's the point. The game should never put you in a shit shop. It should put you in a safe space. And I'm against hug boxes and safe havens and everybody getting medals for taking part, but in a video game there are these paradigms that we've come to accept. Like, that's my fault. I will gladly take that. And that's a similarly bad checkpoint, but it's a checkpoint that's done... Look at this! Look at this, guys! There is a square there that is designed to be a checkpoint. Look at it. It's perfect. Oh, note how far back we went as well. This is not where we died. We died on this next bit. So, just goes to show that you can get clipped and go back quite a large amount of time. And then if you continue to get clipped, it puts you back even further. Because it's a really strange way of punishing the player. I don't all that much understand it. And then we have this particular sequence that has the Mario balls dropping from the sky, which I thought was quite fun. So that's us failing the time limit if we were trying to do all three at once. And now we just need to finish off the switches. So on this particular one, I like to jump around it, jump around the balls, because it just seems to be an effective strategy of getting through there. They fall in a pattern from the sky, so if you get there when they're due to fall, all they'll do is they'll stop you and they'll interrupt your jump, and then you'll fall like that. There you go. It's always nice to have a visual reference. But see, that is a fine one. I have no issue with that whatsoever. That one is perfect. Didn't put me on a crowded path, didn't put me somewhere I didn't need to be, put me in a place which was good. And then this is the most tricky jump in the entire dungeon, because you have to time this so that the circle that will rejuvenate your abilities is in the right spot that you need it to be when you get through here. And it's pretty tricky. So if you just land on that part, you jump forward and then you boost, you should get enough momentum to get to the end of this. And I think that's it. I think that's the end of the repository Blitz. So let's have a look what it says. And unfortunately we have to do this quickly. So that's what we're going to do next. So that one is fine. Oh, I missed a switch. That's not good. Look at me being all casual. So the good news is, whenever you do these rooms, the one below will always have a prismatic core, so it never feels like a wasted journey. And I appreciate that. But you're going to see in a moment what you have to do to reset the dungeon once you've fucked up. You have to drop down. You can break some boxes if you want to. Am I going to look for it? Yeah, I'm still kind of curious as to which one I've missed. It doesn't necessarily matter though, so... unless you're going for everything and you're doing the full collectible thing, you don't have to worry about that, so I'm not going to let it bother me. I started playing Bioshock last night and I was having so much fun. It made me remember what good games feel like. Because this game could have been so good, but it's left me in such a sad mood, it's not even funny. And it sucks too, because it deserved more. They built something great here, and they weighed it down with tepid bullshit that didn't need to exist. So here's us back again, fucking up the opening of the door, because I'm a legit top-tier professional gamer. Come on, Duncan, get off the Switch. What are you doing, pal? And then we get to do the speed run, so... I think I'm going to get fucked here by what I mentioned. Can you remember how I said in an earlier video that one of the things I don't understand is that they give you these abilities between your buddies, but they don't let you activate them unless the specific buddy is on, instead of just dynamically enabling you to do that and it swapping for you. Well, this is me going for the time limit, getting all baller, being a beast, trying to go fast, like Sonic. And then I get to the bit, where we used Seth to climb that certain area, and I'm going to fall. So, spoiler alert, this does not end well. But I looked pretty good up to this point. And there are moments when I was doing these where I'm like, I really felt like I was on. And I like feeling like that. Oh, there's a switch, but we don't care, we're going for speed. So, lots of boosting. Lots of forward momentum. The only part of this that I think you should even remotely worry about is getting fucked in a permastun loop of death, or the final jump, because the final jump is awkward. Everything else, pretty standard here. So you can jump over these as well. I realised that if you do a double jump and you boost, you don't even have to contend with it, so it's a much faster way. That was unfortunate. If I was a little bit faster there, I could have got on there and not had to stop. But this is where it's going to happen, guys. Watch this. Yep. And I swap, and I still can't salvage it. So I was not happy there. And you see that? That's an example of why that place is not safe to put you, and why they should put you somewhere else. And once again, folks, this is what it looks like, a permanent loop of death. To get out of these, you have to be put back. You notice what it did? It put me way back. So I lost so much time then. This time could have been really good if I'd have not fucked up. And I fucked up on something so subtle and simple that another game would have let you do. Because you know, in a game like Darksiders, which I think is an example of this, when you have, I think it was Darksiders 2, you could have the gun on and still use the grab that was the traversal tool by pressing the same button, because it would just trigger it for you and enable you to do it. Because once again, that's modern game design. That's intuitive, dynamic game design. That's what all games should have at this point. We've come a long way. And if we're going to get these experiences that are cheapened and more easy and more accessible, then at least come through with that, you know. This game, maybe they were trying to go hard, you know, make it less accessible, make it old school difficult and old school, you know, mentalities, but they didn't even adhere to that. That was my fault. I boosted a little bit too hard. I could have got on the edge of the lip there, but I should have tapped the boost instead of holding it. But whenever I'm timed, I tend to fuck up me. I don't know if you're the same. I'm not a big fan of being timed at anything. I like to take my time. I'm that kind of guy. I've never been a fan of time limits. I don't mind them when I've done everything in the game and I'm looking for additional challenge. Like if I was a person who was gonna... Oh, there it was. Fucking up on the tough jump. So this is at the point where you start to sweat, because you fucked up twice. You know that you can do this jump, but you also know that there's a little bit of luck involved in getting it all to line up, and then you got it. So there you are. And there's only 20 seconds left, and I'm pretty confident we have it. So there we go. Time limit achieved. The things I learnt doing that, folks, just be confident with your boosts, understand how to get over the balls, and just be aware that if you mess up, sometimes the game will put you into an endless chain of bullshit, and it's really bad. And I have no idea how somebody who can come from a legacy such as Mega Man, or a team that can come from a legacy such as Metroid Prime, where that can be a thing. That is a joke to me. That is kind of the thing that you put in for a laugh, and I honestly don't understand how it happens, but it does, and it shouldn't.